My daughter cried. He hit me over salty food while my husband watched. Then I arrived. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was in the middle of teaching my sophomore English class. I'd always been strict about keeping my phone on silent during school hours, but something made me glance at it when it buzzed for the third time in as many minutes. When I saw my daughter Emma's name flashing on the screen, accompanied by 3 missed calls, my heart dropped into my stomach. Emma never called during the day. She was a stay-at-home mom to my 2 grandchildren, usually busy with playgroups, errands, and the endless chaos of raising a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. For her to call once was unusual. 3 times was an emergency. "Class, I need you to read chapters 5 and 6 silently," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "I'll be right outside." I stepped into the hallway, my fingers trembling as I called her back. She answered on the first ring. "Mom," her voice was barely a whisper, thick with tears and something else. Fear. "Emma, sweetheart, what's wrong?" "Mom, I need you." The words came out choked, broken. "Can you come, please? I need you to come right now." "Emma, you're scaring me. What happened? Are the kids okay?" "The kids are fine, they're napping, but Mom..." She broke down completely, sobbing so hard I could barely make out her words. "He hit me, Mom. Jake hit me over food. The food was too salty and he just hit me. And Daniel was there. He just watched. He didn't do anything. He just sat there and watched his brother hit me." The hallway seemed to tilt around me. Jake was Emma's brother-in-law, Daniel's younger brother who'd been living with them for the past 6 months after losing his job. Daniel was my son-in-law, the man Emma had married 5 years ago, the man I'd walked her down the aisle to, the man who'd promised to love and cherish her. "I'm coming right now," I said, already walking toward the principal's office. "Emma, listen to me. Take the kids and lock yourself in your bedroom. Do it right now. Don't talk to either of them. I'll be there in 20 minutes. "Mom, I can't. Jake is still here. He's in the living room if I try to take the kids." "Then stay where you are. Where are you right now?" "In the bathroom. I locked myself in." "Good, stay there. Don't come out until I get there. I'm calling the police." "No," her voice rose in panic. "Mom, please don't call the police," Daniel said. He said if I ever called the cops on his brother, he'd divorce me. He said Jake was just having a bad day, that I shouldn't have served him salty food when I know he's sensitive about things. "Mom, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening to my marriage." My blood ran cold. "Emma, your husband just watched someone assault you and blamed you for it. That's not a marriage, that's..." I stopped myself, knowing this wasn't the time for that conversation. "Okay, no police yet, but I'm coming and we're going to figure this out. Stay on the phone with me." I burst into Principal Morrison's office without knocking. She looked up, startled, but the expression on my face must have told her everything she needed to know. "Family emergency," I said. "I need to leave immediately." "Go," she said without hesitation. "I'll cover your class. Is everything okay?" "No," I said honestly, "but it will be." I ran to my car, Emma's ragged breathing still in my ear, and drove toward my daughter's house with my heart pounding and my mind racing through 1,000 terrible scenarios. How had I missed this? How had I not seen that something was wrong? But I knew the answer. I'd seen it. I'd chosen to ignore it. As I drove through familiar streets, my daughter's quiet crying filling my car, memories flooded back. Signs I'd noticed but explained away. Red flags I'd convinced myself were nothing. It had started about 8 months ago, right after Emma's second child, Sophie, was born. Daniel's younger brother Jake had lost his job as a construction foreman and had nowhere to go. Daniel had insisted Jake move in with them, promising it would only be temporary, just until Jake got back on his feet. Emma had called me that day, her voice uncertain. "Mom, I don't know about this. We have a newborn and a toddler. The house is chaos, and Jake, he's so different from Daniel. He's angry all the time. He's been drinking a lot since he lost his job." "What does Daniel say?" I'd asked. "Daniel says family takes care of family. That Jake would do the same for us. And I guess he's right. It's just, I don't know, I have a weird feeling about this." "Trust your instincts," I'd told her. But then I'd added, but Daniel's right too. Family does take care of family. Maybe having the kids around will be good for Jake. Give him something positive to focus on. God, I'd been such a fool. I'd prioritized family loyalty over my daughter's instincts, and now she was locked in a bathroom, afraid of her own home. There had been other signs. Thanksgiving dinner just 3 months ago. The whole family had gathered at Emma and Daniel's house. Jake had been there, of course, sullen and drinking beer after beer. When Emma brought out the turkey, Jake had made a comment about how it was dry. Maybe if you spent less time with those brats and more time cooking, the food would be edible, he'd said. I'd felt anger flash through me, but before I could say anything, Daniel had laughed. Actually laughed. "Come on, babe," he'd said to Emma. "Jake's just joking, don't be so sensitive." Emma's face had crumpled for just a second before she plastered on a smile. "Right, just a joke. I'll remember that for next time." I'd pulled her aside in the kitchen afterward. "Emma, that was completely inappropriate. You don't have to take that kind of talk in your own home." "It's fine, Mom. Really. Jake's just frustrated about being unemployed. He doesn't mean anything by it." "But Daniel should have defended you." "He did. He said Jake was joking. You know how guys are. They tease each other." But it hadn't been teasing. I'd seen it in Jake's eyes and the curl of his lip. It had been contempt, and I'd let it go. Then there was Christmas. Emma had seemed withdrawn, tired. I'd attributed it to having 2 small children and Jake still living with them. When I'd asked how things were going, she'd said, "Fine, everything's fine." But her smile hadn't reached her eyes. New Year's Eve, Emma had shown up at my house alone with the kids. "Where's Daniel?" I'd asked. "He stayed home with Jake. They're having a guys' night. Jake was feeling down, so Daniel thought it would be good for them to hang out." On New Year's Eve. He chose his brother over his wife and children on New Year's Eve. Emma had shrugged, but I'd seen the hurt in her eyes. "Jake needs him right now, I understand." But I hadn't understood, and I should have pushed harder. I should have demanded answers. I should have trusted the instinct that told me something was very, very wrong. Now, as I pulled onto Emma's street, I saw both cars in the driveway. Daniel's truck and Jake's beat-up sedan. They were both home. Both of them there when Jake had hit my daughter. I parked on the street and sat for a moment, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. "Emma, I'm here," I said into the phone. "I'm coming to get you." "Mom, wait, maybe we should just..." "No, no more waiting. No more making excuses. I'm coming in and we're going to deal with this right now. Do you understand me?" "Yes," she whispered. "Stay on the phone with me. I want to hear everything that happens." I got out of the car and walked up the driveway, past Daniel's truck with its "Blessed Dad" bumper sticker, past Jake's sedan with its collection of empty beer cans in the back seat. The front door was unlocked. I walked in without knocking. The living room looked like a tornado had hit it. Toys scattered everywhere, dishes piled on the coffee table, and sitting in the middle of it all, sprawled on the couch like a king on his throne, was Jake. He was a big man, over 6 feet tall and built like the construction worker he used to be. Tattoos covered his arms, and his face was flushed red, whether from anger or alcohol or both, I couldn't tell. An open beer bottle sat on the table in front of him. He looked up when I walked in, and for a second I saw surprise flash across his face. Then it morphed into something uglier, derision. "Well, look who it is," he drawled. "Emma called Mommy to come save her." "Where's my daughter?" I kept my voice level calm. I'd learned long ago that staying calm in a crisis gave you power. "Locked herself in the bathroom like a child. All because I gave her a little tap. She's so dramatic." A little tap. He'd called hitting my daughter a little tap. "Where's Daniel?" "Kitchen, getting me another beer." Jake smiled. A mean, satisfied smile. "See, Daniel knows how to treat family right, not like some people who can't even cook a decent meal." I walked past him toward the kitchen, and he called after me, "You better teach that daughter of yours how to act like a proper wife. No wonder Daniel's getting tired of her." Every muscle in my body wanted to turn around and slap that smile off his face. But I kept walking. Daniel was indeed in the kitchen, pulling a beer from the refrigerator. He looked up when I walked in, and guilt flickered across his face before he masked it with false cheer. "Margaret, what a surprise. Emma didn't mention you were coming over." "She didn't mention it because she was too busy crying in the bathroom after your brother assaulted her." The beer slipped from his hand, hitting the floor with a crash. Glass and foam spread across the tile. He didn't move to clean it up. It wasn't that serious. Jake just what, Daniel? Hit your wife, and you stood there and watched." "He barely touched her. She's making it into a bigger deal than it is. The food really was terrible, Mom. Too much salt. Jake has high blood pressure. She knows that. She should be more careful." I stared at this man I'd welcomed into our family 5 years ago. This man I'd danced with at his wedding. This man I'd trusted with my daughter's happiness and safety. And I didn't recognize him at all. "Daniel, listen to me very carefully. Your wife locked herself in a bathroom because she's afraid in her own home. Your children are napping while their mother cries. And you're getting beer for the man who hit her. Do you understand how insane that is?" "You don't understand. Jake's been through a lot. He lost his job, his girlfriend left him, he's depressed. He just snapped for a second. It won't happen again." "How many times has it happened before?" Daniel's eyes shifted away from mine. "It's not. This is the first time he's gotten physical. He just has a temper sometimes. Emma knows how to avoid setting him off." The words hung in the air between us, and I watched Daniel's face as he realized what he'd just said. That he'd just admitted his wife had to manage her behavior to avoid being hit by his brother. That he thought this was acceptable. "Get out of my way," I said quietly. "Margaret, wait. Let's talk about this rationally." "There's nothing rational about what's happening in this house. Now get out of my way before I call the police myself." I pushed past him and headed down the hallway toward the bathroom. Behind me, I heard Jake's voice from the living room. "Daniel, where's my beer, man?" And I heard my son-in-law respond, "Coming, Jake." Not "I'm helping my wife," not "I'm checking on Emma," just "Coming, Jake." I knocked softly on the bathroom door. "Emma, sweetheart, it's Mom. Open the door." I heard movement, then the click of the lock. The door opened a crack and Emma peered out with one eye. When she saw it was really me, she opened the door fully. My daughter stood there, and the sight of her nearly broke me. Emma had always been beautiful. Even as a child, she'd had this light about her, this joy that made everyone around her smile. At her wedding 5 years ago, she'd been radiant, laughing and dancing and glowing with happiness. The woman standing in front of me now was a ghost of that girl. Her left cheek was red and swollen, already beginning to bruise. Her eyes were puffy from crying. Her hair, usually neat in a ponytail, was disheveled. She was wearing yoga pants and one of Daniel's old t-shirts, stained with what looked like baby food. She looked exhausted, defeated, and afraid. "Oh, baby," I whispered, pulling her into my arms. She collapsed against me, sobbing. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to see me like this. I didn't want anyone to know." "How long has this been going on?" She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "It's not. Today was the first time he actually hit me. But he's been getting worse, yelling about everything. The house is never clean enough. The food is never right. I'm too loud when I'm dealing with the kids. He says I'm a terrible mother, that I don't know how to do anything right." "And Daniel, what does Daniel say when Jake talks to you like that?" Emma's face crumpled again. "Daniel says I need to try harder. That Jake's going through a hard time and I should be more understanding. That if I just did things better, Jake wouldn't get so upset. Mom, I've been trying so hard. I've been cooking his favorite meals, keeping the kids quiet when he's around, walking on eggshells, but nothing I do is good enough." "Where are the kids right now?" "In their room. They're napping. I made sure they were asleep before." She touched her bruised cheek gingerly. "I didn't want them to see." "Good, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pack bags for you and the kids. We're going to walk out of this house and you're going to come stay with me. Tonight. Right now." "Mom, I can't. This is my home, my marriage. I can't just leave." "Emma, he hit you. Jake hit you and Daniel defended him. That's not a marriage. That's not a home. That's a dangerous situation that's only going to get worse. But what if I'm overreacting? What if Daniel's right and I'm making it bigger than it is? I mean, it was just one hit. Maybe if I'm more careful about the cooking. I took her face in my hands, gentle around the bruise. Emma Catherine Morrison, listen to me. There is no amount of salt in food that justifies hitting someone. None. Zero. And any man who thinks there is a man you need to get away from. And any husband who defends that man over his own wife is a husband you need to leave. I have 2 kids, Mom. How am I supposed to raise 2 kids alone? How am I supposed to afford rent and daycare and everything? I haven't worked in 3 years. I have no money of my own. Daniel controls all the accounts. This was news to me. Daniel controls all the accounts. You don't have access to your own money. He said it was easier this way, that I didn't need to worry about bills and finances, that he'd take care of everything. I just have to ask if I need anything. And does he give you what you ask for? She looked away. Sometimes, if he thinks it's necessary, he says I spend too much on things for the kids, that I'm wasteful. The picture was becoming clearer and clearer, and it was worse than I'd thought. This wasn't just about Jake. Daniel had been isolating Emma, controlling her, cutting her off from independence. Jake hitting her wasn't the beginning of the problem. It was just the first time the abuse had become physical. Emma, we're leaving. Right now. You can figure out the rest later. But right now, you and those bobbies are coming with me. But. No buts, pack a bag now. Emma moved like she was in a trance, pulling a duffel bag from the closet and starting to fill it with clothes for her and the kids. I helped, grabbing diapers, formula, the kids' favorite stuffed animals. We worked quickly, quietly, listening for any sound from the living room. We could hear Jake and Daniel talking, their voices low. Occasionally, a burst of laughter. They were probably watching television, drinking beer, acting like nothing had happened. Like Emma wasn't in here packing to leave. Like their world wasn't falling apart. Or maybe they didn't care. We just finished packing when we heard Sophie start to cry from the kids' room. Emma froze. I'll get her, I said. You grab Lucas, we're going out the back door. Emma nodded, her face pale. We moved down the hallway to the kids' room. 3-year-old Lucas was sitting up in his toddler bed, rubbing his eyes. Sophie, 1-year-old, was standing in her crib, crying. Grammy, Lucas's face lit up when he saw me. Why are you here? I came to take you on an adventure, I said, forcing a smile. You and Sophie are going to come have a sleepover at Grammy's house. Won't that be fun? Yeah, Lucas scrambled out of bed. Can we watch movies? All the movies you want, buddy. Emma scooped Sophie up, quieting her cries. We got the kids dressed quickly, Lucas chattering excitedly about the sleepover, oblivious to his mother's tears. We were heading toward the back door, bags in hand, kids ready to go, when Daniel appeared in the kitchen doorway. What's going on? He looked at the bags, at Emma's face, and understanding dawned. Emma, what are you doing? I'm leaving, Emma said, her voice shaking but determined. I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving. You can't just leave. This is your home, I'm your husband. You let your brother hit me, Daniel. You blamed me for it. What kind of husband does that? I told you it wasn't that serious. You're being dramatic. His voice had risen, and I saw Lucas shrink back against his mother's leg. Emma noticed too. And something in her face hardened. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being smart. I'm protecting my children from a home where violence is acceptable, where I'm expected to just take it and be grateful. Jake appeared behind Daniel, beer in hand. Oh, look at this. The princess is throwing a tantrum. Gonna run home to mommy because I gave her a little smack. It wasn't a little smack, I said, stepping between them and my daughter. You assaulted her, that's a crime. Jake laughed. Assault, lady, you've been watching too much TV. This is a family matter. Emma's just being sensitive. Right, Daniel. Tell your mother-in-law how sensitive your wife is. I watched Daniel's face, watched him wrestle with the choice in front of him. His wife and children on one side, his brother on the other. For just a moment, I thought he might choose right. I thought he might look at Emma's bruised face and his frightened children and realize what was really important. But then Jake clapped him on the shoulder. "Come on, bro, don't let them manipulate you. You know Emma exaggerates everything. Remember that time she said I was being mean to Lucas? The kid was fine. She just wants attention." "Wait, what happened with Lucas?" Emma's face went white. "Mom, it was nothing." "What happened with Lucas?" I repeated, my voice hard. "Jake grabbed his arm too hard once," Emma said quietly. "Left a bruise, but it was an accident. Lucas was running around being loud and Jake was trying to get him to stop. He didn't mean to hurt him." I felt like I'd been punched. "Your brother-in-law left bruises on your 3-year-old son, and you didn't tell me." "Daniel said it would just cause problems, that you'd overreact, that it was an accident and we needed to drop it." I turned to look at my son-in-law, and I don't think I'd ever felt such pure rage. "You let this man hurt your son and told your wife to be quiet about it." "It was one time," Daniel said defensively. "And Lucas was being a brat that day. Sometimes kids need a firm hand." "A firm hand that leaves bruises." My voice was shaking now. "Daniel, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you're saying?" "I'm saying that Jake is family. He's going through a hard time. We need to support him, not abandon him over a few mistakes." "A few mistakes? He's been verbally abusing your wife for months. He hit her today. He's hurt your son. At what point do his mistakes become more important than your family's safety?" "You're twisting everything." Daniel's face was red now. "You never liked Jake. You've been waiting for an excuse to turn Emma against me. This is exactly what you wanted." "What I wanted? I wanted my daughter to be happy and safe. I wanted my grandchildren to grow up in a loving home. I wanted you to be the man I thought you were when you married her. But you're not that man, are you, Daniel? You're a coward who lets his brother terrorize his family because you're too weak to stand up to him." Daniel lunged toward me, and I saw Emma's eyes go wide with fear. But before he could reach me, Lucas started crying. "Daddy's yelling," the little boy sobbed. "Daddy's scary." Daniel stopped, looking at his son, and something flickered across his face. Shame, maybe, or regret, but it passed quickly, replaced by anger. "Look what you did," he said to me. "You scared him. You came in here, started drama, and now you've upset my son. Are you happy?" "We're leaving," I said. "Get out of our way." "You can't take my kids." "Watch me." I picked up Lucas, who wrapped his arms around my neck, still crying. Emma held Sophie close, the baby whimpering. Jake stepped forward, blocking our path to the back door. "You're not going anywhere. This is our house. You're trespassing." "Your house," I said. "You don't pay rent, you don't pay for food, you contribute nothing except violence and fear. This isn't your house, and we're leaving." "Try it," Jake said, his voice low and threatening. "Try to walk past me and see what happens." For a moment, we all stood frozen. Jake, big and menacing, blocking the doorway. Daniel behind him, his face a mask of anger and confusion. Emma clutching Sophie, tears streaming down her face. Lucas crying in my arms. And me, a 62-year-old high school English teacher, standing between my family and two men who seemed ready to use violence to keep us there. It was Emma who broke the stalemate. "Jake," she said, her voice surprisingly steady, "if you don't let us leave right now, I'm going to call 911. I'm going to tell them you assaulted me. I'm going to show them my bruises. And then I'm going to tell them about what you did to Lucas. About the bruises you left on a 3-year-old child. Do you want that? Do you want the police here?" Jake's face went pale. For all his bravado, he knew that what he'd done was criminal. That bruises on a child would bring investigations, possibly charges. "You wouldn't dare," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Emma pulled out her phone. "Try me." "Emma," Daniel said, his voice pleading now, "don't do this. Don't destroy our family. We can work this out. We can talk about this." "We're done talking," Emma said. "Move." After a long, tense moment, Jake stepped aside. Emma walked through the doorway, Sophie in her arms, and I followed with Lucas. We moved quickly through the kitchen, out the back door, across the yard to where my car was parked on the street. Daniel followed us out, still pleading. "Emma, please, don't go. We can fix this. I'll talk to Jake. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Just give me a chance." Emma strapped Sophie into the car seat I kept for emergencies. I buckled Lucas in beside his sister. Neither of us looked at Daniel. "You had your chance," Emma said finally, turning to face him. "You had months of chances. Every time Jake disrespected me, every time he yelled at me, every time he made me feel worthless in my own home, you had a chance to choose me, to protect me, to be my husband. And every single time you chose him instead. So no, Daniel, no more chances." She got in the car, and I got in the driver's seat. Daniel stood in the street, looking lost and confused, as if he couldn't understand how it had come to this, as if he couldn't see the direct line between his choices and this moment. As I drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw him standing there, getting smaller and smaller, until he disappeared entirely. My house had never felt more like a sanctuary. It was a modest 3-bedroom ranch, the house I'd bought after my divorce 20 years ago, when Emma was just a little girl. She'd grown up here, had her first kiss on that front porch, cried over heartbreaks in that living room, studied for her college entrance exams at that kitchen table. Now she was back, but under circumstances I'd never imagined. I got the kids settled first. Lucas was exhausted from the emotional upheaval and fell asleep almost immediately in the guest room. Sophie needed a bottle and some rocking, but she eventually drifted off too. I set up the portable crib in Emma's old room, where Emma herself sat on the bed, staring at nothing. When both kids were asleep, I went to Emma. She hadn't moved, hadn't changed out of her stained t-shirt, hadn't even turned on the light. She just sat there in the darkness, tears silently streaming down her face. "Let me see your cheek," I said gently, sitting beside her and turning on the bedside lamp. The bruise had darkened, purple and angry against her pale skin. I got ice from the kitchen, wrapped it in a towel, and held it gently to her face. "I should have left earlier," she whispered. "I should have left the first time he called me names. The first time he made me feel small. I should have protected my kids better." "You're protecting them now. That's what matters." But Lucas saw Jake hurt me. He saw his father do nothing. What kind of damage have I done to my kids by staying so long? "Emma, you're not responsible for the damage Jake and Daniel did. They made their choices. You were trying to keep your family together. That's not a crime." "I was weak," she said bitterly. "I was scared. I didn't want to be a divorced single mother. I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want to admit I'd made a mistake marrying Daniel." "Marrying Daniel wasn't a mistake. Daniel changed. Or maybe he just showed you who he really was. Either way, recognizing a bad situation and getting out of it isn't weakness. It's strength." She leaned against me, and I held her while she cried. Really cried, deep, wrenching sobs that seemed to come from somewhere primal. She cried for her marriage, for her children, for the life she'd thought she'd have. She cried for the girl she used to be, the one who thought love and determination could overcome anything. Eventually, the tears subsided. Emma pulled back, wiping her face with her hands. "What do I do now, Mom? I have no jobs, no money, nowhere to live. Daniel will fight me for custody. He'll tell everyone I abandoned him, that I'm an unfit mother. His family will back him up. Jake will lie for him. I'm going to lose everything." "You're not going to lose anything," I said firmly. "Tomorrow, we're going to take pictures of your bruises. We're going to document everything. Then we're going to find you a lawyer, the best family law attorney we can afford. We're going to fight this the right way." "I can't afford a lawyer, Mom. I don't have any money." "You're going to have money. Half of everything in that marriage is yours. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts, all of it. Daniel can't just keep it because he controls the bank accounts." "But what if the court doesn't believe me? What if they think I'm lying about Jake?" "You have bruises on your face. You'll have pictures. And I'm a witness to how Daniel and Jake acted when I came to get you. We'll tell the truth, and the truth will be enough." But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it. I'd read too many stories about women who lost custody battles, about abusers who manipulated the system, about judges who believed the most convincing liar instead of the victim. The legal system was supposed to protect people like Emma, but too often it failed. Still, what choice did we have? We had to try. Emma's phone had been buzzing constantly since we'd left. Messages from Daniel, calls from Jake, texts from Daniel's mother demanding to know what was going on. Emma had been ignoring them all, but finally, she looked at her phone. Daniel's mom called 5 times, she said, and texted. She wants to know why I left, why I took her grandchildren, how I could be so cruel. Did Daniel tell her what happened? Emma scrolled through the messages. He told her we had a fight, that I overreacted and ran home to my mother, that I'm being dramatic and irrational. Of course he did. His whole family is going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I'm the bad guy. Let them think what they want. The people who matter will know the truth. But I wondered if that was true. Daniel's family had always been tight-knit, protective of each other to a fault. Would they believe Emma, or would they close ranks around Daniel and Jake? Would Emma's friends believe her, or would they think she was exaggerating, causing drama, breaking up her family over nothing? The truth was, I didn't know, and that scared me more than I wanted to admit. I woke up at 6 a.m. to the sound of someone moving around in the kitchen. I found Emma already dressed, making coffee with mechanical precision. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. "How long have you been up?" I asked. I didn't really sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jake's face, or Daniel's, or I worried about the kids, about what's going to happen, about everything. "You need to rest." "I can't rest, Mom. I need to figure out what to do. I need a plan." She'd been making lists on her phone, things she needed from the house, documents, important papers, the kids' birth certificates, vaccination records, her own social security card, her wedding album, family photos, clothes, toys, books. "I can't go back there," she said. "I can't face them, but I need this stuff." "I'll go," I said. "Give me the list and I'll get everything." "Daniel won't let you in." "Then I'll go when Daniel's at work. Does he still work Tuesday through Saturday?" "Yes, he leaves at 7 a.m. "Then I'll go at 8. I'll take someone with me, maybe your Aunt Linda. We'll get everything on your list." Emma nodded, then started crying again. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry for putting you through this, for dragging you into my mess." "This isn't your mess. This is something that was done to you, and you're my daughter. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than here, helping you." The kids woke up around 7, and keeping them occupied became the morning's main task. Lucas kept asking where Daddy was, why they weren't going home. Emma told him they were having an extended sleepover at Grammy's, that it was a special treat. Lucas seemed to accept this, but I could see the confusion in his eyes. At 8:30, my sister Linda arrived. She'd been shocked when I'd called her the night before, filling her in on what had happened. Linda had never liked Daniel, had always said there was something off about him, and learning that she'd been right gave her no pleasure at all. "Let's go get Emma's things," she said grimly. "And if either of those men are there, I'm calling the police." We drove to Emma's house in Linda's SUV, which would give us more room to carry things. Both cars were gone from the driveway, a relief. I used the key Emma had given me and let us in. The house looked worse than it had the day before. Dishes still piled on every surface. Toys scattered everywhere. A faint smell of stale beer and unwashed bodies. This was where my daughter had been living. This was the environment my grandchildren